Welcome to the Weird Octopus Podcast. So happy to be here. A series of conversations with the humans who showed up before there was a map. I'm Perry, the founder of the Octopus Movement, and I believe nonlinear thinking is not just a way of creating possibilities, it's a way of being in the world. Each week, I speak with different founding members from our global human mycelium to explore who they are, why they think differently, and how they're shaping a future that cannot be built in straight lines. Well, let's meet today's guest. It's Kim Herrlein. I'm so happy you're here, our founding member. We have so many things to discuss, Kim. But first of all, welcome in our podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And let's dive deep immediately. What has been the biggest mental challenge you have had in your life?
I would chalk that up to knowing what to do and still doing something different. I think that there's a misunderstanding about. I believe strongly in that there's an intuitive. You always know, but that's more of a conscious awareness. I think intellectually, as humans, we, especially those of us that spent some time in academia, really like to hold on to the intellectual answer. And I think that really kind of moves you away from the humanness of doing instead of being. And I've made choices and have had to learn patterns. And I call myself a pattern detector because of it. So in some ways, it's just part of my growth and my evolution. But I would say knowing you're doing something that is you're going to pay for later, like really knowing you're in your gut and still going against it.
So did you then your scientific education, was that a mistake then?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I love learning and therefore knowledge. I think it's really more about the application. I mean, you need the tools, you need the methodologies, you have the understanding, but I do really believe we leave out, and it's true of basically a lot of medicine. We treat a symptom, right? Not the root cause. And to a certain degree, the same thing happens in psychology. We treat the symptoms. You may have grown up in a household. You might have watched what codependency looks like. You may have learned how to enable. Like those are all really wonderful, like easy to point to symptoms. And yet at the same time, we don't really fix the cause, like the underlying worthiness, self-respect, kind of these deeper rooted issues that are really, in my opinion, just a matter of not good or bad. Really, it's a lineage aspect, right? Like we learn from the past. And even now they've said in epigenetics, we're getting passed down through our genes.
Yeah, isn't it
Some of the,
amazing?
it's amazing. Amazing.
Right. What happened to your mom or your
Ah,
grandmother? It
the
has its
fact, yeah,
effect on you right now in your life. Holy shit.
it's
Right?
crazy. The fact that I think it's as far back as like when your mom was in your grandmother's womb.
Hmm.
That's how that a piece of you basically,
Yeah.
your coding
Which is
was,
scary as well.
yes.
But what do you think? So you studied psychology, I think,
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
No, I knew already. Um, what do you think? Um, Knowing this, what do you think we should do now? Forget about all the rules. Forget about you're in charge, Kim. So
I'm in charge.
everything you're in charge. Everything is possible, and we know so many things, and yet we also know that we don't know, and the don't know, the not knowing is very interesting as well. What do you
Yes.
think we should do? What do you think we should do in education for the kids? What do you think we should do to ourselves and to others right now? Can I
I'm
ask you
so
that?
happy you're asking me this. This is
Okay,
right in my sweet spot of what
here
I
we
would
go.
like to do. I primarily watched this the psychology movement in looking at individuation as kind of the ideal. And in there, there's a number of things in the mechanism of individuating that is important, right? Some of these things that we talked about, how scary it might be that your grandmother's womb, there's this epigenetic thread, right? So there's like this aspect of really being able to um, learn from that. But at the same time, we have totally lost sight of that we are completely interdependent, that we are part of nature.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I don't think children, and now, I mean, with screens and technology where it is, I mean, and maybe this has to have happened for the pendulum to swing,
Hmm.
right? For us to get so far away from our nature
That we're coming back to it.
that we're coming back. And
Hmm.
I'm hearing this in, like, I help produce events and I'm involved in numbers of communities, and I'm seeing a lot more desire to meet in person, to be in person, to be in real life with others.
Yeah.
And so with children, I really think there's an opportunity here where we can teach that, right? Like work with them, ask them. They're actually closer to the truth than we are, right?
Hmm.
We've been basically trained out of that. Children by nature work together, don't judge, have no expectations, share. And
On
we're
the other hand,
yeah.
I saw this interview somewhere with a psychologist, and that made sense to me as well. When I'm in the Netherlands and I'm walking to a town where I used to study, normally when we were 18, we
Hmm.
were dancing in the bar, we were celebrating, we were smoking inside. That's not possible anymore.
Right,
But
right.
it's we were having so much fun, Kim.
Yes.
And now I see these youngsters, they're on their phone. They're sitting at a table like like they're on pension or something. They look like my parents. Seriously, we used to dance in the bar, and we would be hanging in the lamps. It
Yes.
was crazy,
Absolutely.
and we were hooking up with everyone, and it was one big celebration in a very distinguished, nice, and elegant and respectful way. And and so the psychologist said, kids are not doing that anymore because this thing is there all the time, and
Hmm.
they are afraid to be filmed and therefore to be
Yes.
canceled. So everybody is
Yes.
like behaving like old couples because then you
Yes.
cannot be canceled.
I
That's
can't
not going back to
imagine.
nature, right?
Right. However, there is definitely movements in certain like nightclubs. You put
Hmm.
you hand over your phone and they put
Really
it in a locker. Yeah,
cool.
I think in
Yeah.
Berlin and New York. Uh, just that concept of, I mean, and I can't even imagine, quite honestly. I mean, had my youth been filmed on a regular basis. I'm from New York.
Not
We were
good,
having a
right?
lot of
You're
fun.
not from, yeah, you're from New York.
We were
Yeah.
having a lot of fun
Cool.
in the city,
Yeah.
and obviously continued on. And I think to a certain degree, I guess what I'm saying is, though, if we can teach them younger, if we can start the process, if schooling can really to recognize the importance of this mycelium, right?
Hmm.
This network that we all share. And that happens much more and I was very fortunate. I went to an incredible private school in Brooklyn, New York, growing up in the late 70s, early 80s. And I felt privileged, and I was, that the way that we learned was very much in groups. And so we were constantly working on projects together. There was a natural leader, but it wasn't appointed.
Hmm.
There was an aspect of problem solving together, drawing on each other's strengths, making up for other people's maybe weaknesses. And there
Hmm.
was just kind of, and that's how we did everything. And
Yeah.
so it had a Montessori kind of, origin. And I recognize that is why I have a very different approach when I think about how we should educate and how we can be educated.
And so you have a different approach. One of the questions I always ask, what makes you an octopus? So, what makes you an octopus, a nonlinear thinker, a different thinker, human wisdom, everything you want to attach to being an octopus? How do you see that yourself?
Well, I look at my resume and I just start laughing because if you were to tell the story and look at this person on paper, you'd feel like this makes absolutely no sense. How did she go from here to here to here to there to there to there? And in actuality, it is all me, right? It's the same person. And I love the saying, we are multitudes, but it really is true. And I think there is an aspect of, and maybe this has a lot to do with technology, the access that I can explore all these parts of me. And I can not only just explore, I can engage in all of these parts of me.
Because all these parts,
it's amazing.
People are listening and like, I don't know what she's talking about. So explain to us what all the parts of Kim are right now. What are you doing? Okay. How does your life looks like? What are all the ventures you're involved in?
Sure. I'd love to share that. The last decade I've spent building and operating vacation rentals and boutique hotels. And I am involved from the beginning of purchasing the property, investing in the property, handling the remodel and interior design, and then subsequently designing and managing teams to be able to run those properties. And so that's my company, Purveyors of Leisure. And that's been a really fun ride because we've now downsized quite a bit because we are pivoting towards more so into the boutique hotel space. So I've had lots of fun. So I'm in hospitality. I am catering to people. I'm creating spaces and containers where people enjoy themselves. I've been a consummate host my entire life. I'm a huge proponent of gathering because that's where the magic is. And so ironically, the homes that we have put into our portfolio are all 8, 10, 11 bedrooms. They're not one bedroom condos. The concept behind, we take leisure seriously so you don't have to, right? We want you and your family or your buddies from college, your bachelorette parties, your bachelor party. We want people to create memories. And so that's the piece of me that's really been working towards and very involved in hospitality. Now, the whole time running underneath is Insight Seeker, which is my transformational coaching. I was fortunate enough to not stumble, but a good friend of mine from high school, or about probably like 2013, something like that, was teaching these courses online. And it stemmed from Stanford University's Creativity in Business back in the 70s. Dr. Michael Ray wrote a really amazing book. It's still relevant, Creativity in Business. And long story short, this course that's now called Clarity Catalyst Journey came from the material. It first was in academia. It's still being taught to some degree in the life design school at Stanford. And it was brought out to the secular world in the sense of it was then brought to corporate and nonprofits. And then my good friend Jen brought it to the personal development space. And so she went on to be a Hay House radio host. And, so when I saw what she was doing, this is like beginnings of like Facebook really starting to, do its mycelium thing. And I said, Jen, what are you doing? This is amazing. You look so good. I could just, resonate with all of the material. And sure enough, I took the course, and 3 weeks in, I said, Jen, this is fabulous. This is really hitting the mark. And I said, well, you'll be the first to know. I'm going to open it up to teach trainers to facilitate the course. So I became her first trainer, and then I went on to train trainers. And so been doing that for years. But like I said, the hospitality has been really more my focus, took a lot more out of me. I'm a big yes person, meaning that like the stretch in me is always curious. And I think we talked about this a little bit about beauty having a central theme in my life. And so the hospitality piece between the interior design and, converting spaces into places where people could have beautiful memories was just kind of a bonus, right? However, given the depth of, I guess, despair that's happening in the world, I was kind of called back into relaunching Insight Seeker. I am involved in a number of groups, and primarily one of my most loved is my membership in the community Connect for Success Mastermind. So I've been part of the mastermind from the beginning, and it's caters to women entrepreneurs. And that's been really super exciting. And I am happy to see that in real life happening, right? Like,
Hmm.
yes, we're online, but we also have 1 day retreats, we have 3 day retreats, we do dinner club. There's a number of actual in-person meetings, and that stems out of San Diego, where I lived briefly. um, yeah, so I'll be launching my courses again early next year. I am co-leading a number of retreats this fall, one in Sweden and one in Santa Fe. So
Cool.
yeah, I'm
Wow.
excited for this. I'm ready. I'm ready to give that attention to that part of me.
A true octopus doing many, many different things. And
Yes.
you also said, that you would also create a team for your boutique hotel. And what we discussed in the beginning when I look at your profile and see everything, I just told you that everything is beautiful. And I think that's your angle is things need to be beautiful. How do you create, and this is not a corporate question, please don't see it that way, but how do you create a beautiful team? And I'm always fascinated by people. So when you create a team into your hotel, how do you do that? Being an octopus, seeing everything, doing all kinds of stuff, knowing also that most people are trained to do one thing and one thing very well. How do you see that? How do you create your team?
I had to embrace that not everyone is like me in that sense. So that was the first part, right?
Hmm.
Accept the reality. I am also pretty fortunate that as much as I am a creative, I am also very much a systems person.
Hmm.
So I believe in operations and having SOPs. And I found that I could translate my desire, my need for things to be a certain way, the quality assurance when you come to the hotel, that those towels are in the same place every time, that kind of, real, like, placing importance on the aesthetic, because it's not just an aesthetic, it's how people feel
Hmm.
when you walk in the room. You
Hmm.
walk in a room and you know that nothing was there placed accidentally. The light switch, when you turn it on, lights the lamp in the middle of the room so that you're not walking into a dark room. Just small details, but really imparting upon people that this is just an extension of the offering, right? This is the aspect of when you think things through from a logical and practical standpoint under the realm of the beauty. That's what you can create. And I did make mistakes, I will say. I think I trusted more than I probably should have. I guess I believed more people would perform better when they had that they would want to, what's the word, like, that they would be internally motivated,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I was wrong a couple of times,
Not
right?
everybody is
Not
internally
everyone is,
motivated.
and so I've
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
to embrace that.
Hmm.
Definitely adding more of a higher, slow, fire, fast mentality, a little bit. Just, really kind of recognizing that that's my own desire for people, is to be internally motivated, but that's not necessarily true. But I do believe having, as much as I love the beauty and the aesthetic, and I am also a very practical business owner.
It is, yeah, business owner, which is, and I love the language that I use, linear, nonlinear. I
Hmm.
think success is when it's both there. It cannot be all chaotic and nonlinear and creative and all over the place. Sometimes
Right.
you need some structure
Structure.
and getting
Hmm.
shit done, right? It's not
Totally.
all about having ideas.
Yeah. Exactly.
Do you,
Exactly.
I think a lot of people do, but do you recognize a fellow nonlinear thinker immediately when you meet people? Is it,
Oh, absolutely.
but what is it? Is it your gut feeling? Is it something else? How do you recognize the other octopus?
I like to ask a lot of questions when I meet people.
Hmm.
I'm not a superficial, so I don't want to talk about the weather. I mean, we will for a second, but that's not where we're going to hang out.
Yeah.
Uh, I can often tell when people are surprised by some of the things I'll ask them, and I think that I care more of who you are than what you do. So this was a very stark reality when I moved from New York City,
Hmm.
right, in the late or early 90s, late 90s, was really in New York City in the midst of all of it, right? And moved to Lake Tahoe with two small
Because
children.
New York was back then and still is very much about what you do, right?
Oh, so
Everything,
you everything. You go to a
everything.
cocktail
Yeah.
party, you before you're done shaking hands. So what do you do? And I always tell this story because it really it expresses my sheer shock when I moved to Lake Tahoe, which is stunning. I don't know if you've ever been. You know, I would love for you to see it. It's just gorgeous. Talk about nature and beauty.
Yeah.
And I'd had the privilege to raise my children there. And when I went to a cocktail party, they asked me, "What did you do today?"
Yeah.
And I just thought, "You want to
What
know
the
what I
hell?
did today?" Like, you care about, like, my, you know, and naturally, because, you know, we skied and I mean, it was just, you're such a part of the nature, you know, you're just kind of living amongst the trees there. And I just was like, this is incredible. I really have stumbled across, you know, like the dichotomy of just like, we're doing it wrong over here. Like, this is what I want to be, you know. So,
So the
and that's
question,
really about the
what did
human
you?
being,
Yeah.
right? Not human doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm checking out the map, Lake Tahoe, to see
Yes.
where it is, and if I've been there. Um, I think so. I went to the United States when I was 18 with my dad,
Okay.
and we traveled the US for 4 or 5 weeks. We've
Oh,
seen so many
nice.
things, and I think we rented a boat and went water skiing on Lake
Oh, I
Tahoe,
bet.
which was fucking awesome.
And I'm sure you were used to how cold the water was, because that was one thing that just takes a really long time for that water to heat up.
Yeah,
But it's
so
so
cool.
beautiful.
And
Yeah.
um yeah, I lost my way of thinking because of that. Thank you.
We were water skiing last we talked.
um so in New York, yeah, it's all about what you do, right? And
And that
then
was
you
then.
get,
I mean, I don't know if it's still true, but that was my experience.
generally
Yeah.
speaking,
Yeah.
it still is, I think, a
Hmm.
little bit.
Hmm.
Anyway, what makes you curious today? What are you currently curious about in the world or in your life or
I don't know. You
in
want to
your
look at
thinking?
65 tabs on my computer and I can tell you.
What are you
I
curious about? Tell us. I want to know.
Okay, I am very curious about how do we instill peace within our communities. And so I do believe it starts with children.
Hmm.
And I am involved with a group called Kids for Peace. I think I actually introduced you maybe to Margie Malek. I hope that you were able to connect. And I think it's really a fabulous idea. It was literally like started with 3 schools in Carlsbad, California, and now it's in um, 17,000 schools, 40 something countries. And it's basically children pledging to be kind, pledging, you know, for just various tasks throughout. They have something to complete every month. That's a pledge to be kind in some sort, to go out of your way for another, you know, just the typical things you would think about helping one another.
Hmm.
And then as a, you know, kind of a fundraising mechanism, they have a kindness certified company. So you can, you know, sponsor and become a kindness certified company. And so that for me, I think it's really, I'm seeing, you know, as much as the news would have it that we are full of hate, I don't believe it.
Hmm.
And it's time for those that are filled with love to share it.
How does it look like? Because we all, this is, how do I say that? We talk about that a lot, all of us. And so what do we do? What do we do to make that happen? Because I'm sometimes amazed by people that talk about love a lot and being very judgmental on the other side as well.
Mm.
And I'm like, what is this,
Can't,
right?
yeah, can't, does not work
This
together.
this is talking
No.
about fragmented things in our lives, that there is a box for love, but there is also still a box for judgment that is very pleasant. And I'm wondering, but if there's
Yeah.
love, then there is no thinking. Why are you judging then? How do you see that?
I'm glad you're bringing this up because I do think that we've become a performative society.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is, there's you can look at so many studies around happiness and the set point and what that really, is that what people really are after? And for me, I strongly believe people are looking to be in alignment. And then that's not happiness, that's not a success, it's not tied to some, it's in alignment, meaning who I am, what I'm thinking, feeling inside is matching my outside. In order to teach alignment, right, that concept, we have to let go of the idea that we are after happiness or success to a certain degree, and we have to trust the inner knowing. In order to do that, we have to recognize that there's a lot of us, majority of our lives, is run by the unconscious, the subconscious. And so we have to make we have to wake up the subconscious. We have to say, hello, come on out, let's play. Because so many people, I think, have gotten to a point, and I think this has a lot to do with positive thinking and a lot of work that that is as a the zeitgeist, right? Like where we are really sharing a desire to evolve, to grow, to be quote unquote happy. And I think at the same time, there's this system running under us, right? The subconscious. And so what happens is people wind up in what I would call conscious contentment,
Hmm.
right? So they have an understanding, like back to what I started the conversation with you about, like what I recognize now is I really had to get to the root, to my subconscious that was running the show. And realistically, what I strive for is unconscious contentment, meaning
Hmm.
I don't even think about it. I don't see the judgment. I don't care if someone cuts me off. It doesn't penetrate because I let the subconscious come up, looked it in its face, accepted it, right? So you have so this is one of my this is my proudest moments at this time. Is I just had my framework trademarked, my golden thread spiral,
Hmm.
and it's all about nonlinear evolution and growth mindset. And how it works is that you take any situation and you kind of plot where you are on this spiral, with the goal obviously is sequencing through it and moving upward, right? So there's awareness, there's acceptance of what is, there's accountability. And this is the part that people get so upset, like, it wasn't my fault. I didn't. No, that's not the kind of accountability we're talking about.
No.
We're saying you have the
And
power to
there's not a lot of
choose.
accountability in the world,
No.
maybe, right?
And that's
Sorry for
part of
saying that, people.
that's part of what's actually continued, right? Like why it continues.
Hmm.
So the accountability piece isn't necessarily like it's the idea that you have the power to choose differently. You can ascribe a different meaning to the story. An event happened, right? It's not good or bad. That's the acceptance, right? The accountability, I have the power to choose. How is this going to, with the understanding that I'm ultimately looking for action, a movement, something I'm going to do that's aligned with what is going on inside of me.
Yeah.
But that all takes work. I mean, that's a continuous effort. That for me, it's meditation, journaling. Those are absolutely two of the main staples. Walking
Becoming an
without
adult.
headphones on. What did you say?
Becoming an adult, just becoming older,
Yes,
wiser,
yes,
right?
wiser. Yes,
Wiser.
I think there is, and that is part of that is always a great question. Like, can you install this at a young age, or does it just take time?
And isn't happiness, because you said happiness in the beginning of this answer, isn't happiness that whatever the fuck is happening in your life, there's not enough money, maybe you're sick, maybe you're worried about your child, God knows what, you will name it, and it's there for all of us. We all have
Hmm.
these kind of worries. Isn't happiness about waking up and thinking, yay, let's do it today, no
The
matter what,
gratitude piece, yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we focus on what we want as opposed to what we have.
Hmm.
That's just a little bit of our nature.
Yeah.
But I don't think that is our true nature. And I think part of that is because if we came from the place of interdependence, where you don't have to lose for me to win,
Hmm.
right? Like
Yeah.
that's the independent individuation like piece of like for me to have it's cooked into the nature of like superiority, inferiority, uh, as opposed to interdependence. And like if we could trust that we would take care of one another, that regardless of, I mean, there's going to be things that are tragic in our lives, and I've lived through many.
That's the
And
movement we
I,
all have and that we all have to face. And it's
right,
interesting to see how people face that difficulty, and the ones that face them well, you know, they're a great example for their own kids and for their friends and
that's all I
others,
hope to be.
right?
Really, that's my. I mean, that's my like inner the why I've come here. Right, is to
Okay,
break some patterns, and be a role model for my daughters. Right.
final question then. Perfectly in line with the conversation we're having right now. If you could whisper a sentence into everybody's ear at the same time, all over the world, in whatever language is necessary for that person to understand, what would it be, Kim?
This too shall pass,
Hmm.
and that's not only the negative things; it's
No.
also the good things, and to
Yeah.
really take note of that,
Yeah.
to have gratitude.
A good friend of my father used to say, in 50 years' time, this will not be here anymore,
Right,
except the trees and whatnot. But your car will be gone in
right.
50 years, right? And
You won't
this
even remember what happened.
this plate will
That
be
was
gone, and maybe this
right.
restaurant will be gone, maybe your hotel will be gone in 50 years. I don't think so, but um, it's this will pass, right?
Yes.
It's important to think that way.
The bad, most people speak to that in the connotation of a negative
Hmm.
event outcome, but I
Yeah.
also really embrace it from the good will also pass.
Yeah.
Don't miss it.
So you can really
Don't miss it.
enjoy it when you're having such a good time with someone. This will pass. So
Yes.
fucking enjoy
Mhm.
it, people.
Yes.
The
Because
good,
it's
the bad, and the
impermanence.
ugly.
It's impermanent.
Yeah.
It's the only thing we know to be true
Hmm.
is everything will change. And yet we fight it.
Thank you for being here, Kim.
Oh,
Not
thanks for
just
having
in the
me.
podcast, but also in our movement, in the Octopus movement as a founding member. And if you're listening and you feel a spark, please follow it. Nonlinear thinking is not a strategy, it's a kind of love, seriously. And it grows where we share it. And we can all see that. And it works wonders. And it's awesome. Thank you, Kim, for being here.
Thank you so much.